Oh man, you just brought back a traumatic memory.
Welcome back to Outside the Grind. This is episode 10, and we have the legendary Chief Beef. How are you feeling today?
Great, yeah. How are you doing, Hootie?
I'm wonderful, man. Thank you for asking. So, I'm actually super stoked about this because I know that you and I have like very different, stream vibes and like content that we do. I focus a lot about just talking. I don't really play the game. You're obviously incredible at the game, and I am, nowhere near that level. But I feel like we have a lot of similarities. I feel like we, focus on positivity, trying to keep the upbeat vibes.
Yeah.
Just bring some positive vibes to the world. So I'm really excited about this interview. But I'm gonna say, when I reached out and and I mentioned what's going on and whatever, and you mentioned that you were 19, I had no idea you were so young.
Yeah, no, I get that a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I carry myself, but people definitely get surprised whenever I say that one.
Yeah, 100%. I do think it's the way you carry yourself. I think you just give off very mature vibes, and I do think it's a lot. It's very much due to you know your like lack of toxicity.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think a lot of the young ones, um, you know, they're a little more okay with being toxic here and there to some teammates that maybe make some mistakes while they're playing. So, but yeah, I was surprised. So 19, relatively fresh out of high school, is that right?
Yeah, I started streaming when I was in high school, and then
Yeah.
that was 2 years ago.
So 2 years now, man. You've been killing it. And I'm so excited for you because I feel like, well, anybody's putting in the effort deserves it. But I'm excited to see you find success because I love the positive vibes as well. So let me ask a little bit about this. Then and you don't have to answer, just whatever you feel comfortable with. But are you planning on doing like secondary education? Are you planning on riding this wave with streaming and see if you can turn that into career, or what's kind of your game plan moving forward into adulthood?
Yeah, so for the most part, it's just going with the flow
Yeah.
and seeing where this road takes me. I didn't have too crazy of a plan coming out of high school. I
Okay.
was kind of already planning to take a gap year, going into college in the first place. But like second half of the school year, I decided, hey, let's start streaming. I'm decent enough at Rocket League, and I think I can bring some new things to the table.
Yeah.
And then by the time I graduated, I might have had like 30-ish average viewers. And without too much of a plan that summer, I just decided to go full into it. It was like two streams a day, 4 hours each for, sometimes I think I had like three 24-hour streams that
Yeah.
summer. I just kind of, I went full into it because I enjoyed it a ton, but
Yeah.
also because, I didn't really have much else to do, right? So might as well give it a shot. And I've carried that mentality for a while, and that sort of dedication I think has been pretty fruitful to have.
100%, man. I could not agree more. I love the fact that you were kind of already taking a gap year. I know there's a lot of discussion about college and just how useful it is relative to how expensive it is, right? Obviously, it
Yep.
is helpful to get yourself educated and try a new experience and stuff, but it's freaking costly. And I can tell you, as somebody that has a degree and that doesn't use it, yeah, that's a very expensive piece of paper back there. And
Yeah.
so I think that's really cool. Um, well, I know this is another question that you probably get asked a lot, and I assume the answer is probably gonna be pretty similar, just riding the wave. Do you have any intent on going pro? I know that you're obviously an incredible player, you're still improving at an incredible rate, but I feel like I've heard this asked to you on stream, and I want to ask it here just so we can get your answer. So, what is your thoughts, your perspective about Rocket League and professional play versus content creation?
Yeah, so the way I see it is I currently am a better content creator than I would be if I were to try to go pro. And
Sure.
so it's better to focus my energy on making content while I improve, right? While I
Yeah.
continue to get better. And then at some point, maybe that line starts to creep
Hmm.
more towards the pro side. And then
Yeah.
you can turn that into content, right? The
That's
whole
right.
like road to going pro type. I feel like
Hmm.
there hasn't been a content creator who's had that like full journey from starting fresh, full content, starting to go pro, and like documenting every single step of the way of that. So it's something, but I think further down the line for sure.
Yeah.
Since I still enjoy making content a ton. Like
Hmm.
I'll stream every single day for 4 or 5 hours just because I love it.
Yeah.
And if I started to go pro or tried it, that would kind of take away a little bit of time. And with all the scrims that they have to do, you don't really get that full. What do I say? You don't get the full streaming experience, I
Sure.
guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, not, you're talking about the time, but not to mention the mental energy, right? I mean, I
yeah,
imagine it's extremely taxing trying to be a pro, managing expectations, community buzz, people talking about you, your results, et cetera. So, I love to hear that, but it's fair to say that you're open to it if things align in the right way in the future.
yeah, 100%. And to go back to that like mental expectations thing,
Mm.
the nice thing about being a content creator is I can stream for 4 hours and lose every single game. But as long as I can make it entertaining, I'm good. Right? I'm good. But you
Yeah,
do that on the pro scene and you might be out your job, which is pretty
that's right.
serious, right? So
Or at the very least, like the people in the chat and the people that are even just keeping up with the stream a little bit are probably going to treat you different once you do cross
yeah,
that threshold as a pro.
that's true as well. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, that's so awesome. I think it would be such a cool story if things unfolded in that way. So I wish you the best of luck with pro play. The Chief Beef documentary would be a banger.
The new Sunless Con video.
That's right. That's right. Man, that's so wild. Um, all right. Well, that's really cool. Do you have any type of, and I'm going to get off of this career stuff in just a minute, but I wanted to kind of front load with that. Do you have any type of um, maybe thresholds or goals that you think, like whether it's financially or numbers or whatever, where you feel like you're going to double down and fully dive into this? Or maybe like an age by the time you're 25, you're thinking about things and maybe you go back to a different career field or pursue a degree or something like that. Do you have any type of those thoughts or just kind of going with it as it
It
unfolds?
at this point, it's just fully going with the
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah.
I've always kind of modeled my future like that, just kind of living in the moment. And as opportunities pop up, you decide to do them or not do them,
Sure.
right? Like you reached out to me maybe 3 days ago and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, you want to come on here?" And sure, yeah, let's do it. Right? It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Um, you know, you- I feel like you definitely, if you think too hard about the
Mm.
future, you definitely lose that sense of like in the moment feeling that is
Yeah.
really important. So yeah, I'm just going fully with the flow. We'll see how it goes. I've got a couple plans. I think it's important to plan out.
Sure.
Um, some important to plan out the important stuff. But if you are planning out every single
Yeah.
aspect, then some things start to not go according to plan, and it just complicates things, right?
Absolutely. Dude, I love that. I love it so much. I think the, and I'm just going to reflect on my own transition from, being young, getting into high school, college, and kind of listening to what is told to me. It feels very much like there was a lot of societal pressure, adult pressure, whatever, counselors, parents, whatever, family, that kind of just forced this idea onto me that I had to have things figured out like by 20. And if I didn't, then I was not going to be able to make things work. And so I do think that across the board, of course, there are always going to be people like that, and I do think that there is probably still plenty that preach those things. But it does feel like there's a little bit more of a almost like a counter, like a pendulum swing, right? Where it's like it went too extreme that way, and now it's kind of swinging
Yeah,
the other way, where people are a little bit more free flowing. And I think the internet has a lot to do with that, to be honest with you, because I think there are so many like jobs that didn't exist
hundred
in
percent.
online
Yeah,
spaces, whether it's influencer, I mean, I don't know, drop shipping, whatever, right? There's just
yeah.
all kinds of
No,
opportunities online
that's
to
the one that came to
monetize.
my head.
Yeah, so
I've seen that sort of stuff. It's like if you're creative, there's so many
that's
ways
right.
that you can, get by.
Yeah,
Uh, and I'm definitely fortunate that like the first thing I really put time into, right? Streaming was the first thing outside of school that I really dedicated a good bit of time to.
yeah,
And I'm super fortunate that it worked out the way that it has because
hmm,
very well could have not, right?
sure,
And that's why I'm, staying dedicated to it, right? That's why
yeah,
I'm continuing to stay on the grind here.
yeah, yeah. I love that, and dedicating your attention to it, like like you mentioned, you're staying in the moment and appreciating it, and you're
Yep.
grateful for it. And I think listening to this again, it's just so surprising to hear that you're so young because these are things that people struggle with their entire adulthood. Um, so to hear that you have so many of these things figured out already is incredible and encouraging. So you're rocking,
I
bro.
don't know. I wouldn't say I have it fully figured out.
No, I agree. I agree, but I think you have more figured out than a lot of 19-year-olds. You
Sure.
have
Yeah.
a great perspective towards things, and I think that comes with humility, which is what you were just displaying right there. So, all right, we'll get off of the career stuff, and let me rewind a little bit. So, gaming, has that
Yep.
always been something that has been a piece of Chief Beef, or was this something that you kind of grew into later into high school?
Yeah, very much so. Gaming
Yeah.
has always been a part of my life. I'm trying to think. Back in So I was born in 2003, and probably in like 2004,
Mhm.
I have an older brother, 4 years older than me, and that kind of helps introduce you to
Yeah.
games in general if he likes games, right? Because if I was like 4 or 5 years old, I probably would have had no clue what they were. But um, a little like handheld type games. I know we
Mhm.
had a Game Boy Advance that we shared at one point,
Yeah.
which was fun. Um, but even just like the small little handheld type one cartridge games that
Yeah.
they got two buttons on it, and I don't know, you
Yeah.
got to put like a battery in the back. Always had those. Then the Wii came out. We got the Nintendo Wii, and that was great. And I had actually funny story. I remember my parents. So they've always been super supportive of me from the start, right? But
Yeah.
as a parent, naturally they wanted their kid to go outside and not spend all their time on video
Sure,
games, right? That's
sure.
the concept. So their their system around this was pretty much this. They had a cup, and the cup had like four quarters in it.
Okay.
And if I wanted 15 minutes on video games on the Nintendo Wii, I could take a quarter out, right?
Okay.
Uh, but if I didn't take the quarter out, if I didn't play the games, then I would get to keep the quarter. So it's like you get your a
Oh,
dollar a
that's
day
cool.
pretty much to not play games, but also giving you the option to play games, right?
Oh,
It was an
yeah.
interesting, like looking back on it, it was a very interesting way they did that.
That's incredible. It's not the thing is, it's not a punishment or reward at all. It's
No,
just up to you. You just have
it's
your
your
choice.
choice. It's
Yeah.
exactly
Dude.
that. It's your
Okay, you
choice.
know what? Hearing that one anecdote, I am not surprised that you're so mature. That is incredible parenting.
Seriously, yeah. No, my parents are a large reason, and I think that as everybody is, it's their upbringing, their parents, and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, my parents are they did an incredible job.
That's
So shout
awesome,
out to
man.
them.
I'm gonna take notes if I have kids in the future. I'll have a
Yeah, get the
quarter,
quarters in
the
the
dollar
cup.
cup.
That's funny. But yeah, going through that, I had the Nintendo Wii, and then ended up with my brother. We like put our money together, bought an Xbox,
Mhm.
Xbox 360, went through that, and then got a PC maybe when I was like 12 or 13. I think it was my brother's old PC.
Yeah.
It was a could barely run anything, but it got the job done, right?
Right.
And then yeah, I mean, literally every year. I don't think there was a year where I wasn't gaming.
Mhm.
And I actually going back to like streaming and going a little bit back to that topic. I think
Yeah.
in 2010, so I was like 7 or 8 years old. I made my first YouTube channel back when
Oh,
the
really?
YouTube, yeah, and I still have it. If anybody wants to check it out, man, it's Silly Willy 758. Shout out
Silly
to
Willy. I love that.
There's three videos on it still. One is an introduction that my brother helped make for me. All
Yeah.
right, it just said, "Hey, I'm gonna play games." Right, pretty much like Microsoft text, and then
Yeah.
just in a document. Next video, Lego Batman Part One introduction,
Nice.
and it was just like me with a tripod filming my TV with the Lego Batman game for the Wii.
Yeah.
And the third one, if anybody wants to check it out, it's a surprise, right?
Oh,
I won't spoil it. A little surprise there.
okay. That's so
Yeah.
incredible. Okay, so maybe the content brain was in there from early
Oh,
on.
it was. Yeah. And it was I'd say I was kind of copying my brother because he
Yeah.
like has a younger brother did,
Mm,
right? He was doing his own thing. He had a YouTube channel, and then I wanted to just do what he was doing.
of
So I didn't really
course.
know what I was doing, but it at least introduced me to that concept.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was 2010.
Yeah.
And then I remember maybe like 2 or 3 years later, probably 3 or 4 years later, I had a buddy in elementary school that I like to play Minecraft with.
Mhm.
And, I experimented, and I don't think the channel ever turned into anything.
Yeah.
But if you've ever heard of Fraps, the old recording software, it's called Fraps.
I don't
It's
think
like
so.
unregistered Hypercam 2, right? Just like
Okay.
really like free recording
Right.
software. And so I was like 12 years old trying to record Minecraft videos back when the hype was still around that.
Yeah.
Probably not even 12. And yeah, no, I don't think I ever uploaded a single video because they were all so scuffed. Right? I had a
Yeah.
bad PC and I had a bad bad microphone, all that sort of stuff. So I was recording them, and I was like watching them back, and then I realized they were all horrible. So it's it's good that I guess I don't know. It's good to keep high standards. I think that's important.
Yeah.
When I was like 10 or 12, I probably wasn't
Right.
too concerned, but that's something I've always carried as far as content now is having like high standards for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that it's okay to once in a while if something goes wrong, you don't want to be too hard on yourself, but you do
Yeah.
need to keep that standard up to keep yourself motivated to keep
Yeah.
putting out quality content. And I also think that's a difficult thing with YouTube compared to Twitch is and so for the past while I've only really just streamed on Twitch. I've been huge on streaming on Twitch every single day.
Yeah.
Haven't missed a day in forever. In the past 2 years, I think I've only missed like six, and four of them was RLCS Worlds
That's
because my
crazy, dude.
laptop blew up.
Oh
Like
my
battery
goodness.
straight up exploded because it wasn't meant for streaming. And but
Oh
yeah,
no.
so it is as far as standards goes, I'm a lot more geared towards streaming because I feel like
Mhm.
it's a lot more down to earth. And this type
Sure.
of YouTube video is right up my alley. But with YouTube videos, I find it's very easy to like portray a person not exactly how they are, but more
Sure.
so just as like the perfect version of themselves, right? You
Mm,
can
right.
cut out all the mistakes, cut out
Yes.
all the negative qualities, and then
Mhm.
you're just left with this like perfect person. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what YouTube requires, right? To keep
Yeah.
people's attention, you do need to have that. And it just feels a little disingenuous. And that's why I prefer streaming a lot more. I still am uploading on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mainly have focused on like short form content because that can just be a couple funny moments. But I have been getting into some YouTube videos because, as far as content goes, I think it is important
Yeah.
to have that. I don't know. It's like it's almost how do you describe it? It's almost you just have your stuff, you have your videos on your channel. They're there forever. It's a
Yes.
portfolio. That's
That's
the word
right.
I was
That's
looking
exactly
for.
right. Yeah.
And
It's
I think it's important to have that.
YouTube's super lucrative as well as far as
Yeah.
like some different content platforms, or it can be when your videos start to, accumulate views. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's like a catalog. This is a thing that people can see. You've been doing this for a while. You're able to like log some of the things that you do live probably as well. And I think maybe most importantly, it's essentially free marketing and promotion,
Yeah.
right? You get those impressions
Exactly.
from uploads, even if it's not clicks. It's still people seeing that Chief Beef is
Yeah.
existing and doing his thing in the Rocket League or whatever game space. Man, that's incredible. I'm not gonna lie. There's one thing that stuck with me that with this quick backstory that you've given with some content and gaming and stuff, and um, you saying that you were 7 years old in 2010 really struck a nerve with me because I graduated high school in 2011. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that
No,
was a
that's
tough one to hear.
that is funny. That is really, really funny to think about.
Yeah. The thing is, enjoy it because you will. I'm telling you, you will be here before you know it, dude. It happens
Yeah.
so fast. It is.
Yeah.
The thing
That's
is, like, I don't feel old. When you're 19 and you hear 30, you're like, sheesh.
yeah, no,
They're
you're
getting there. But
still
when,
one of the youngins.
yeah, yeah. But when you get there, you don't feel that way. And I imagine that's probably true all the way through. But um, all right. Well, that's so interesting, man. You've been getting the reps in for a long time, even if you weren't publishing some of this stuff, making these videos, back from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. That's incredible, man. I certainly did not have any interest I didn't play games. I did not play games when I was a kid. I was just in sports and certainly had no interest in like content creation or anything. I didn't even really use, and social media was new, but I didn't even really use it. I had Instagram, Facebook, and whatever, but it was just, I don't know, just an afterthought, really. I was not really into it. So my friends always laugh because my friends from college, they were big into games, NCAA's, Super Smash on the old 64 and stuff like that. And I was always like begging them, like, let's go do something else. Let's go disc golf, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's so funny now because I'm sitting here doing this whole lifestyle like in the gaming space, and they have all done regular jobs and don't really game all that much anymore. So we've just like reversed.
Yeah.
um,
Tables have turned.
so what are some of the games that you used to play like on your Wii, and then when you moved over to Xbox and whatnot? So what were some of y'all's favorite games?
Yeah, so On the Wii, I think it was always just I mean, Wii Sports is a classic Wii Sports Resort.
Classic.
Everybody plays that.
Yeah.
You know, you probably sunk way too many hours into that. Um,
What were your favorite ones in there? Wii bowling?
Bowling was the one, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And oh man, you just brought back a traumatic memory.
Oh
I
no.
I remember waking up like super early before school to go
Yeah.
Wii bowling, right? Gotta wake
Okay.
up before school, and I get a couple rounds in, right? Get a
Yeah.
couple rounds in on the Wii bowling. And I remember vividly, like core memory of my childhood, I bowled a 299 out of
Ooh.
300. The
Oh
very last frame.
no.
And the one pin is just boom, 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 stays up.
No.
Little me at like 6 in the morning, man, was bawling my eyes out at that
Oh,
point. It was the saddest moment of my life.
school
It
day
was
ruined.
yeah, seriously. How do you go into school, man? I've gotta take a spelling test after I just bowled a 299. I'm gonna forget everything. I don't have a
Oh my
chance.
goodness.
Yep.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so Wii Sports is a great one. Super Mario Galaxy was
Okay.
a fantastic game. I remember also another traumatic Wii memory. Man, there was a lot. I I remember it was Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I think is
Mhm.
what it was. And I had a buddy over. I was horrible at the game. And
Okay.
so part of that game, if I remember, there's like a story mode where you unlock the characters and you figure out what you're doing and all that sort. And the story mode, obviously, you have your save file, and you
Oh
might know
no.
what's coming
Oh
next. Yeah,
no.
I had a buddy over, and I'm like, "Hey, let's play this game, right? Let's play Super Smash Bros. Let's start a new save file."
Mm.
And it got overwritten. All of
Oh,
my progress gone, man, gone with the buddy,
dude.
and and
Heartbreaking.
it it was tough. And as soon as I did it, I know that I did it as well, but I didn't want to like let on to the friend that I was sad, so I'm just like sitting there just playing the game on because I knew
Internally
it
just
was gone.
pouting.
Yeah, I was so sad, but I didn't wanna, like, I didn't want my friend feel bad, make him
Yeah.
think that I had,
Oh
ruined it
man.
for him or something.
Such a
Also, this was in the time sorry for cutting you off.
You're fine.
This was in the time here when, like, you go to the library to
Yeah.
rent games,
Mhm.
right? We would go to the public library and rent pretty much borrow, I think is what they
Yeah.
call it. You borrow like a Wii game. So every couple of weeks, you borrow like a Wii game and then you return your old ones. I think the max was like 3, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
It was an era where instead of like buying the
Yeah.
game, you just go to the library or Blockbuster even. I remember going to
Yes.
Blockbuster
Yes.
for new Super Mario Bros when that came out,
Yep.
and that was fun. That was a fun adventure
That's
for
incredible,
sure.
man. Do you remember how old you were when you're talking about that story where your save file got overwritten?
Oh, that was like 8 years old, maybe 9 years
Dude,
old. It was
you've had kindness in your heart from day one. That is incredible that you're thinking about like I don't want my friend to feel bad.
Yeah,
That's so genuine. That's incredible. So I like I said, I didn't really play games as far as like on consoles and stuff, but I was really big into Pokemon. I had a Game Boy,
yeah.
and I had a similar traumatic story. Like I said, I was in sports, but the handheld can go with me. So on these long trips, I'm playing, or like at the park while we're waiting on our game, I'm playing, and that was what I was doing. We're at the park, we got a game coming up, and I'm playing, and this is back like red or blue or whichever version I had, and I had caught Zapdos and Moltres.
Oh, you were deep in it.
I was deep in it, and I hadn't saved for like a couple hours.
Oh, no.
And dad was furious because I was not focused on the game. I'm sitting here doing this. And he comes over and yanks it. And I was like, no, 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 no. Let me save it. And I'm tripping. It's so
Oh,
funny
man.
because I still talk about, I'm 30 years old and I talk about
Yeah.
this to my dad. He can't remember it. And I said, Dad, I'll never forget this. And he turned it off. I lost,
That's
multiple hours
tough.
of gameplay, 2 legendary birds. And, you talk about like school days ruined. Dude, I couldn't
That
focus on the
yeah.
game. You just took away my legendary birds. How am I supposed to play?
Took my birds, Dad.
So I can relate to the overwritten or not saved
Yeah,
loss of progress, man. It's devastating. It's
it
devastating.
is.
All right, so we'll keep rolling on. So you had some Wii games you like to play, and then what about when y'all got to the Xbox?
Yeah, Xbox, there was a couple racing games which kind
Okay.
of translate to Rocket League. Right, you have
Yeah.
there's a game called Blur, I think it was.
Okay.
Forza Horizon, those ones. They've made like new versions of it, but like the original, or at least the earlier versions of that game, which was sweet. And since my brother is older, I had Call of Duty. Right,
Okay.
so when I was maybe like 13, 14, playing
Yeah.
Call of Duty with my brother, it was always a fun time. And even going back to like my parents here and how fortunate I am to have the parents that I have. Like at one point, I remember, so you can play like split screen on Call of Duty, right?
Right.
And so my dad and I would split screen Call of Duty,
Yeah.
right? I would have him like watch the back door, and then I'm I'm like in the window. All right, Dad, are they coming? And we had the full setup. Like he would cover my six, and
Yeah.
then like playing like team deathmatch against other people. Um, and I'm just like shooting out the window. That was great fun.
That is.
Uh, and also FIFA. FIFA
Okay.
was a big one. FIFA, I think 14 was my first on the Xbox,
Yeah.
and then FIFA 15 I played a lot. But I find it interesting that a lot of, going back to sports, I played soccer as well. I played
Yeah.
for the Europeans football, whichever you want to call it, football, soccer. I played
Right.
it for about 10 years, and
Okay.
I do find it interesting how think a lot of people who got into Rocket League, if you ask them what sport they played at, most times it's soccer, right? It's a
Yeah.
lot of the times soccer, as well as like a lot of people I find play FIFA.
Mhm.
So it's funny how those two overlap. It makes sense why, but
Yeah, it
it's
does.
always interesting.
I just want to pause and take a note of again the parenting. Um, Dad, rather than like pushing against the gaming, diving in with you, it sounds as though these are fond memories of yours, that
Yeah,
you created with your dad. These moments, these things that I imagine both of you will probably hold on to for the rest of your lives.
100%. Yeah, no, that's I'm no parent, right? I don't have kids or any of that, but
Sure.
from the child's point of view,
Yeah.
I'd like to say they did a pretty darn good job. They definitely turned me into the person who I am today.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is like supporting your child's natural
Hmm.
you know, ambitions and
Yeah.
whatever their interests are, right? Trying to like just go with it, right? Help them out, see where they can go from it. Um, whether it be sport, education, or games or anything. Just
Yeah.
being there alongside, right? I think is really important.
That's right. Shout out to the beef parents.
Yeah, Mama and Papa Beef. I'll probably send them this.
Ah, that's sweet. Well, they did a fantastic job. Okay, so you talked about you got a PC, and around what age was that you said?
um, it's tough to fully remember. I think like 13ish is
Yeah,
when I got my first PC, and it was just like my brother's old one when he
yeah.
got some new parts.
So it was probably just one of those situations where there was one available
Yeah,
and you just grabbed it. Because I was going to ask, was there a motivation, like a game that you wanted to play that was only PC or something like that, or was it just kind of following in brother's footsteps?
it was following brother's
Yeah,
footsteps
yeah.
100%. He was all like, "Oh, mom, dad, I need to get a PC, right?"
Mm.
And I forget what he wanted to play, but for whatever reason, he was, man, I got to get a PC. And as soon as he gets his, it's like, mom, dad, can I have
I got to
his?
get one.
Right? Now I want one.
Yeah,
And so,
that's
yeah,
funny.
that
Do you
definitely.
remember what some of the first games were you played on the PC?
I remember we played Minecraft for
Yeah.
sure. Minecraft on the PC with my brother was a good bit of
Mhm.
the early games there. And then I got Rocket League pretty early on,
Okay.
right? I'd say early into 2016
Yeah.
is when I first played Rocket League. And so that stuck with me for sure. Um, Terraria was a good game. Terraria is a classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, just more, I don't know, more chill games, as well as more like story driven games.
Okay.
On PC, I remember playing Skyrim and Oblivion,
Mhm.
a couple of the Fallout games. Those ones where it's more like single player story mode. You
Yeah.
just play after school, play it for an hour or two, and you come back the next day, and it's something to look forward to.
Mhm.
Those were classics.
Um, was with Rocket League, do you know how you discovered it?
I want to say it was like a John Sandman video. I want to say it was. I
Yeah.
can't fully pinpoint it, I'm like 99% sure it was a John Sandman video back in the day
Yeah.
when he was, when he was dominating the playing fields, when he was the name to be feared.
What was it, F2?
Yeah, F2. Yep. I think it was 100% one of those, or
Yeah.
99.9%, and then that introduces me to the game, and
Mhm.
I remember being hooked on it. Like,
Really?
from the start, yeah,
Yeah.
from the start, I remember I got to so it was like Prospect back in the day. There's Prospect,
Yes.
there's Challenger.
Yep.
I was whatever, I think it was Prospect, whatever the silver rank was.
Mhm.
Not very good that first season. Second season, decent. And then they like switched over the ranks, I think,
Yeah.
to the normal bronze, silver, gold. And I remember getting to like plat, and I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
now we're
I'm
good.
him.
Right. I'm that guy. Right. I was the classic plat. I was on keyboard and mouse at that point, and I was trying to learn how to like air dribble, right? I was trying to learn how to air dribble. And I remember my intense training routine got cut off by a family trip for maybe like a week, right? We went on a family trip, and
Yeah.
all I can think about is just getting home and playing Rocket League and becoming the plat freestyler who
Oh,
can air
yeah.
dribble. And it was, I don't know, it's funny to look back on those
Yeah.
memories.
It's in the
I
Platt DNA, it seems. I
Yep.
remember the same thing, dude. Like, um I think I actually in season 3, the one that was, like, really long, like, 9 months, I think I
Yep.
actually got into the blue star ranks because I had
Oh,
those
wow.
wheels. Um, but yeah, they switched it the next season, and I remember getting around the Platte area as well, and just so much pride attached to it. It's so funny. Um, man, that's
Yeah.
incredible. I was the same way. My friends showed it to me. I didn't even have a console at the time, and yeah, I mean, we were playing Chaos, split screen, like 4 little
Yeah.
tiny cubes. It was so much fun though, man. It just the same way it hooked me immediately, and um, I mean, I didn't play games the way that a lot of other gamers did growing up. I was acquainted with them. I had friends that played them. And so it's not like I never touched a console or a controller or something, but I never felt it's never nothing. I didn't grab the controller and then feel like, oh man, I want to get back and do that again. But Rocket League, immediately, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to do that again. Let me get that controller. It's fun
Yeah.
to drive. It's fun to try to fly. It
Mm,
was just it's such a simple concept, but so much fun to execute. Like literally anything. I showed this on the other day on my stream. I have this clip saved in Snapchat. One of my first like big aerials where I'm like air rolling and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man! So much.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's so difficult, right? Like it's so
Yeah.
hard to get past
100%.
that first level when you finally start hitting shots or flicks or aerials or whatever. It's just like whoa.
And I think also a big part of it is it's the improvement is all like in your hands,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think with a lot of other games, FIFA, to go back
Yep.
to FIFA, right? You press a button and
Yes.
you pass the ball or you
That's right.
shoot the ball, and you don't have that full level of control, right, over your character, which in this case is a car. So being able to see, if I could just press these buttons in a better order,
Mhm.
I could be like that guy, right? I
Yeah.
could be like Justin. If
Yes.
I think that is a very like fundamental part of Rocket League. This is
Yep.
really important. Just how it's almost like a normal sport,
It's
right?
a
It's
sport.
very, very
I was about to
similar.
say it. It's a sport just in the digital world.
Yep, exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. So much fun. All right. Well, what are some other proud moments or accomplishments in your life that you're gonna hold close to the heart forever?
Sure, yeah. I would say, like I said earlier, I played soccer for like 10
Yeah.
years. And so my senior year of high school, we had one of the craziest runs because our school was never all that good at soccer, right?
Yeah.
It was always like that. And the way they do in America is, or at least my state, right? New York State. I grew up in upstate New York.
Okay.
So more of a country type of area.
Yeah.
And the way they do it is you have your normal season, and that gets the seeding for a sectional tournament, your like section in the
Gotcha.
state.
Yeah.
And then, you end up, if you do good in sectionals, if you win sectionals, you move on to a state
Mhm.
championship. And so our our school is never that good. But the year that we played in, we kind of all were it was a very close team. It was,
Yeah.
I don't want to say like you could make a movie about it, but it was definitely like that. we had all been playing together for a while. We all knew each other. We were all very close to each other. And so our grade level for the first time in a while was actually good.
Yeah.
And the way that that played out was we didn't lose a single game for the entire season. And I think we scored it's 44 goals for our team, and we only let in 4.
Oh
And
my
2 of those were on
god.
a backup goalkeeper. Yeah. So
Whoa.
we and we were up against some like really good teams as well, right?
Yeah.
The teams that had previously been winning everything. We we were smoking them. Pretty much every single team we would just run through. And it's only high school soccer, so it's not, it probably we're probably a lot worse than we thought we were. Right? We probably we probably weren't all that good. But in the moment, at that
Yeah.
point, winning every single game, and we went straight through sectionals. We won the sectional final, so we won our entire uh, section, which
Mhm.
was like the class double A, which was the largest population. It's based on like population size
Yeah.
as well. But that was the year COVID was, so we didn't have a state final, and that was
Ah.
definitely like for how good our team was. We had a really good shot at
Oh,
winning
that's
the New
heartbreaking.
York State, but it's almost like that perfect ending as much as you would
Sure.
want to go more. At least the reason you lost was,
Mhm.
lost was out of your control, right? At least it
Right.
was something to end. Although it wasn't the insane winning the entire state,
Right.
it was, we won we did everything we could
That's
pretty
right.
much. And I think that's a, that's a concept as well that I definitely hold close is just doing what you can, right? There's a lot of stuff that's always going to be outside of your control in a lot of aspects of life, right?
Yep.
But you just focus on what you can do because that's all you can do, right? It's
That's
all
right.
there is.
That's incredible, dude. I love that story so much. I like I said, I came from the sports world, so
Yeah.
that hits my heart. I love that. That camaraderie and you talking about like y'all growing up together and being close. I love that, man. That's definitely something that I can relate with, and I totally understand why that would be something that you hold on to for a while. So, is there anything else that you'd like to share as far as a proud moment or accomplishment?
Um, as far as the ones that stands out, that's probably in recent times the larger
Yeah,
one because like looking back, it feels like forever ago, but that was like 2 years ago, right?
dude, these COVID years have been long.
Yeah, no, seriously. I feel like these past 2 years of my life have been longer than the previous 17, right? These
Yeah,
past 2 have just flown by, whether or, not flown by, but the opposite.
yeah,
Whether it's just because now you're out of school or, just looking back is always looks like it's gone by faster. I don't know.
right.
Uh, yeah, that was 2 years ago. I'd say, I don't know, I was really good in school. I'd say that's a pretty big accomplishment. I always had, I think, like a 3.9 GPA,
Mm,
so I was always, I don't think I missed many days, had
yeah.
straight A's for every year of high school. And, you know, it's funny how that doesn't really turn into going to college, right? But it is, that was definitely an accomplishment. And
Yeah,
again, I think that is like part of my mindset, right? Is just if I can give effort to something, I will give effort to something.
yeah,
And it's easier to give effort to things that you're more passionate about. With
yep.
streaming, I find it so much easier than school, but
Mm,
I had expectations one way or another as far as school goes, and I'm gonna meet them, right?
yeah,
That, whatever it required of me, I would do it.
yeah.
And I think that level of dedication is something to be proud of for sure.
Absolutely, dude. I could not agree more. Could not agree more. Well, I love that, and I'm glad that you're proud of those things. And thank you for sharing. What are some other interests of yours outside of gaming and Rocket League?
Yeah, sure. So I moved out about 5 months ago, so I'm now
Okay,
living in my own
congratulations.
spot. Yeah, it's been sweet so far.
Yeah,
I'm in Florida, and so
big change.
yeah, yeah. No, going from New York to Florida, my brother lives down here, so pretty much brother family
Yeah,
was planning on moving here, so I figured I'd like scope out the area, right? That
yeah,
type of deal. And so with being in Florida and being someone who came from a background of sports, uh, it's nice to not have, and anybody that grew up in like the Northeast can relate.
mhm,
I was never big into skiing and snowboarding,
yeah,
and unless you're doing that, you have like a 6-month period of maybe a 10% chance of seeing the sun,
Right.
and it's like 20 to 30 degrees snowing. So now being able to go outside, and I have an e-bike now, so an
Okay.
electric bike. I've been
Yeah.
having fun with that. There's a soccer field nearby, fun with that one. The beach is nearby. uh, made a couple, just talking with random people, friends and that sort, playing sports and whatnot.
Yeah.
um and I mentioned it earlier when we were like starting the video here, but HelloFresh, they sponsored you and me here, at least for this past month here. And I've been actually really enjoying getting to learn how to cook, right?
Okay.
That's very quickly become a passion of mine, right? I find
Yeah.
myself in off time like watching cooking videos of different techniques, right? I did a subathon, and one of the main parts of content on most subathons is like you watch Gordon Ramsay, right? You're watching the Gordon Ramsay
Yeah.
content. And so, why can't I be him? Pretty much is the mindset there. Why can't I
Right.
be Gordon? And so, yeah, HelloFresh made that easy for sure. With they just give you ingredients, they give you the instructions, and then, you know, even like as a non-sponsored, I'm not sponsored here anymore, right?
Yeah.
My month is over,
Right.
but yeah, I still use them because it's actually like a really good service, and
Yep.
learning how to cook food and not just like relying on eating out has been really really fun for me. And I haven't really ventured too far out into finding recipes outside of HelloFresh, but I
Yeah.
think this next month, you go down to the grocery store and what's that? Some ground beef, got some peppers, maybe some eggs. Who
Yeah.
knows? And, it's
But this is a
an
great
art.
example of what you're kind of describing, though. It builds that confidence,
Yeah, a hundred
right? Like
percent.
you've done it a few times with some different, like maybe template recipes, and now you feel
Yep.
like, oh, I'm gonna go explore and see what I can make.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, that it's been really, really fun just being able to make my own food the way
Yeah.
like I want it, right? Because growing up, as much as I love my parents, right? And I'm sorry, mom, but it was a little bland, is all I'm saying. It was
The shade.
like being able to have some food with a little bit of spice, maybe a little bit of more flavor to it, right? I can make it
Yeah.
how I want it. And growing up, it was always like got the crock pot meal, and you got like some stovetop chicken,
Hmm.
and you've got rice, right? You got
Yep.
the three classics. And so now being able to experiment with some more interesting foods has been great, and I would recommend it for sure. Anybody, again, not sponsored anymore by them, but HelloFresh or just cooking in general,
Hmm.
it's it's a cool life skill, and I feel like it's something that no matter what, you'll probably want to learn at some point. So
Yeah.
it's fun to learn it earlier rather than later.
That's true. I can vouch for it. I have always called myself a microwave main
Yeah.
because my thing is mostly just lazy.
Yeah.
And I know that that word is like really has like a super negative connotation, but I also think it's pretty synonymous with like efficiency.
Yeah. Trying to
And
save time.
like I'm not thinking about food until I'm hungry, and then it's too late. Because then if I start cooking, it's gonna be 30 minutes or longer. And so I just always was like, I just want simple. I don't really care. I'm not saying I don't enjoy food when it's a well cooked burger, a steak. I'm not saying I don't. I like that, but I don't
Yeah.
care. I'll just eat whatever because I'm just hungry, and whenever I'm not hungry, I'm cool. So I have made baby steps. I am cooking now, but it's extremely simple. I literally just get like 4 to 6 chicken patties, cook one night a week, done for the
Yeah.
week,
There you
and
go.
just keep it simple. So but you're right, it is a good skill to have, and I also agree with like learning it earlier on is, I mean, it's just nice. It's not
Yeah.
like you can't learn it later. It's just nice to have those
For
skills
sure.
early on. And I'll say this: there is a sense of accomplishment. I feel like whenever you make up something nice, and you're like, man, okay,
Yeah, that
I
tastes
cooked this
good.
up. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm learning. We're getting there. Mine was actually the thing that kind of sparked me for doing it was actually more of a health thing because I know all these like super processed foods that you heat up in a microwave are just not good for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I was focused more on that, I ended up so carb heavy. It's just very easy to
Yeah.
get rice or noodles or you know what I mean. It's just or sandwiches. It's so carb heavy.
Yeah.
And another aspect of growing old, that metabolism slows down. So you gotta be careful. Once you stop moving as much and the body's not as efficient, you know, it doesn't burn as many calories. So you gotta be a little bit more careful with what you're eating, which is a lesson that I'm learning. But fortunately, I'm learning the lesson and not letting things get out of control because I think I think it's easier to prevent than to try to reverse. Once
Yeah.
you've unfortunately allowed a little bit things to get a little bit out of control. All right, I have to ask, and we could cut this out if you want, but do I see water behind you?
Yes. Yes. That is water.
Dude, you've got
It's
a
a pretty
beautiful
cool
view
spot.
here.
Yeah. I actually had to put up like a window tint
Yeah.
uh, because I can open it up real quick. If you open it up, the camera doesn't like it.
Right, right.
It's
Oh, yeah, I
like,
see.
but yeah, it is. It makes for a very cool camera background. It's
Sure. I saw a
especially
boat, or what at
yeah.
the time I thought it was a boat going by, and I
uh,
was like, dude, am I seeing?
yeah, I don't know if I have it set up, and I don't know if I could. I probably couldn't change what camera I'm using, but I've actually got like an outside camera. So
Yo.
it's just whatever camera I have here outside. And so
Wow.
for like a stream, if you ever catch my stream as it's starting, or if I
Yeah.
have to take like a bathroom break, then
Get
I
the
just switch
view.
to that one. Yeah. And it,
Wow. Dude, that's
yeah,
so cool. That looks incredible.
yeah. I mean, if I'm blessed enough to have this view, right, I might as well share it with
I'm gonna
everybody
share
else,
it.
right?
Man,
Pretty
you are an inspiration, Chief Beef. You make me want to be more kind. All right, let's keep it rolling. Are you big into music or not so
much.
much?
I would say I'm not like a music connoisseur,
Sure.
but if I have nothing going on, I'll put on music.
Yeah.
And
Are there any artists that you're a pretty big fan of? You kind of go to
I am,
regularly?
and I think a lot of people say this, but I am like that person that listens to literally everything. It kind
Everything.
of
Yeah.
just depends on the mood.
Yeah.
I've, you know, I've got a couple playlists, but a lot of the times with Spotify, it's like your playlist will run out and it just starts playing random stuff, and I just let it roll, and
Yeah.
I'm
You're
just
cool with it.
there for the ride.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. What about like movies or television shows? Are you into those?
Yeah, so growing up with TV, I never had like Disney or Nickelodeon or
Okay.
Cartoon Network. I was always on the PBS Kids.
Yeah.
Right, so we never had cable, and so growing up, I never had too many movies, never had too many TV shows.
Yeah.
I think that transitioned into like where I'm at now, where instead of watching movies or TV shows, I'll just watch YouTube videos
Yeah.
or a Twitch stream, and I think that is part of the new generation as
Hmm.
well. Is it's so much more easily accessible and free to
Yeah.
just watch to
Yeah.
watch a YouTube or a Twitch
It's
stream compared.
it's also like more specific or more
Yeah,
accurate to your
exactly.
interests, right? Like you're making this television show that they're casting out a wide net and they're just hopeful that people are going to enjoy it, and plenty do. But you can go find exactly what you're looking for, the cooking show.
Yep.
You don't have to wait on it to come on at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. You can go just watch your cooking
Yeah.
show whenever you so desire. I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I'm very into YouTube. I keep up with streams, but it's very much just like a networking type thing. And I hate that word.
Sure.
It's so, I don't know. It makes me feel icky. But I just want
Yeah,
to
it
keep up with
makes
what
it
my
feel
peers are
too
doing,
like
right? Like,
corporate.
tap in and see what's going on. They're doing a subathon, or they're on the stream, they're on the ranked grind, or whatever. I just like to just tune in and see what everybody's up to. So, um, I'm kind of the same way. I am big into anime. You like anime?
I have not delved into it yet, just
Oh,
because I know that when I do, I'm gonna lose hours every day, right?
okay.
I've
So
got
you're just
some
holding
buddies.
off.
Yeah, no, it's like I have a buddy who's like, oh yeah, gotta watch episode 1,000 of XYZ, whatever the
Mhm.
name is, right? And I'm 1,000, right? How am I gonna catch up?
That's so funny.
I'd assume there's some shorter ones, right? It's
Yeah.
obviously not all like that, but yeah, I mean, I definitely want to keep my time, right?
Sure.
Time's valuable for sure. And not to say that it's not important to
No.
take time and relax and all that. But the way I would rather relax is by either watching a YouTube video, a stream, or
Yeah.
doing something in person. But I have nothing against it at all.
Yeah. I totally understand. I got a lot of respect for it too, because it's something that I'm discovering is like environment building. And so if I have sodas in my house, I can't win that battle. I will drink the soda. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm a chocoholic. I can't moderate. If there's chocolate here, I'm going to binge eat it. So I don't get it. And it sounds very similar to what you're describing, where like you just don't want to open that floodgate.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So I totally get that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that you're probably making the right choice because I know I was very against anime for a while for whatever silly reasons that I had. My friends finally convinced me, and man, I watched I watched many anime at this point, and you're talking about 1,000. So I don't, I could be wrong, but I think there are very few. Uh, I don't know. There may only be one anime that has 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
One Piece,
Yep.
and I'm
That's the one.
actually I'm in a rewatch right now.
Oh, brother. You're picking up the details that you missed the first
Exactly.
999.
Here's what happened. I got tired of waiting week to week. I don't
Sure,
like
yeah.
that. I like to binge because if I want to sit there for 2 hours and watch it for 2 hours, then I will. The good news about anime though is they're 20-minute episodes, 16-minute
Yeah.
episodes, so
Yeah, that makes
it's
sense.
not as big of a time investment as like an hour long like Game of Thrones style show or something. But I like to be able to just dive in if I've got 2-3 hours or whatever, rather than trying to keep up week to week. I just hate it. I get so frustrated because they get to the drill. They get to the good point, stop it right there, tune in next week, and it's like
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I got tired of watching week to week, and I was like, oh, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna go back to zero, start over, and then let it build while I'm catching back up. But yeah, I would say probably a good choice, good self awareness there. All right, well, let me ask you about travel. Have you had the luxury or ability to travel around much in life?
Not so far, not at least
Yeah,
outside of the United States yet.
sure.
The most recent one was RLCS Worlds going to Dallas, which was
Yeah,
great fun.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Was that
definitely do.
was that your first event for RLCS?
Yeah, that was my first
Yeah.
RLCS LAN. It was really fun, really, really good time, and I'd recommend. I'd even recommend going out of your way to see him, but especially if it's close by you, right? If you
Yeah.
are a fan of Rocket League, there's something about being in a shared space with
Yes.
everybody who has a shared interest and just
Preach.
those few days, right? Those few days of just everybody's on the same page, and that's very rare to find.
It
But
is.
yeah,
We
so
all feel this passion towards this thing, and you don't ever get these like groups
yep,
where you like congregate and you just share that interest in it. And like you're saying, it's magical. It's special.
yeah. It's just for like the people that you're meeting there, let alone the actual gameplay that you're there to
Hmm.
watch, which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so been to Texas for
Okay.
that. Planning on going to Boston for this upcoming major, which will be fun.
Yeah.
And outside of that, just traveling here and there for either like my dad had like a work trip.
Hmm.
Right, my dad's got a work trip. Let's tag along or something.
Yeah.
Or perhaps like a soccer tournament.
Sure.
In northeastern United States, you got a lot of those states that are small and close together. So just a quick drive over and then you're
Yeah.
back, something like that. Aside from that, no, I haven't really gotten the chance to travel, and it's something that I do want to do more
Yeah.
because the world's definitely a pretty place. There's a lot of stuff that it would be cool to see.
Absolutely. I'm pretty similar. I traveled a little bit for sports. In same vein, just kind of in that. I'm from Arkansas, and so like all the little states around me, Missouri, Texas, Tennessee,
Yeah,
Mississippi, right around there. I've done some traveling there, and then outside of that, just same as you, I've had the uh, fortunate opportunity to go to a few RLCS events at this point. Um, but I'm the exact same way. I want to travel as well. I feel like even when it's inside of the United States, and even when it's relatively close to where I'm from, I feel like every time I go somewhere new, I see something new, and it's just fun. It's fun to see these new things and new cultures and new people and whatever. So in the same way, I would like to expand my horizons as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone, that we can do so.
yeah,
So you said you played soccer growing up. Did you play any other sports, or were you mostly just soccer?
Soccer was my main one for
Yeah,
sure, but you always have that like phase where you try every sport and
yeah.
just see which ones you like. So, I remember at one point I tried lacrosse,
Oh,
and
okay. We don't have
I think
lacrosse
it
down here,
yeah,
like Arkansas
lacrosse is
area.
definitely a northeastern
Yeah.
sort of sport for sure, and wasn't too good at it. It was it's a tricky it's a tricky sport for sure, and it's
Yeah.
also a lot more aggressive, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like soccer, obviously,
Sure.
there's physicality to it, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. But compared to like lacrosse, where I'm a youngster and I'm just getting bumped around, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
They're smacking me with their sticks, and I don't like that. Yeah, so tried lacrosse for like a summer camp. Um, Tried basketball, and I was decent, and I enjoy playing basketball. I think it's a fun sport, but I was never too good at it.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always, and again, going back to it, it's like one of those things that I've kept with me is if I really enjoy something and I'm naturally pretty good at it, I want to dedicate my energy towards it, right?
Yeah.
So soccer, I was naturally better at than any other sport by a good margin.
Mhm.
And so it's just stuck with that. And same thing for Rocket League, same thing with streaming. That
Yeah.
whole sort of thing goes together.
Yeah. And like you said earlier too, I think when you find something you enjoy,
Yeah.
it's easier for you to kind of pour that extra effort in and stay dedicated to the craft. What about any other activities growing up? Anything outside of sports? I know sometimes people do some band or
Yeah.
different
Oh,
instruments or
that's a
whatever.
funny story. You just
Okay.
kickstarted a story right here.
Okay. Here we
So
go.
I, again, older brother. He's 4 years older than me, and he wanted a drum set
Hmm.
for like Christmas or his birthday or something. He wanted a drum set because he thought it'd be cool to play the drums. And so his method of getting a drum set was not asking, hey mom, dad, can I get a drum set? It was, hey, Chief Beef, can you can you start taking drum lessons at school so that I can use your drum set once you get it? So I I tried it, man. I tried to help him out. They stuck me on the glockenspiel, and I was not a big fan. Right? You go into school for percussion, is what it was. Right? You're
Yeah.
doing percussion instruments, and I thought, hey, I want to play the drums because my older brother wants the drums. I'm like, man, when am I gonna get to beat the drums? Right?
Yeah.
Gotta start with the glockenspiel, which is like a tiny xylophone, like a little rinky dink, dink, dink,
Yeah.
dink xylophone. And I tried to put up with it, man, but there's only so much glockenspieling that one can put up with. It is, it is something. No offense to any glockenspielers,
That's right.
right?
So
It is,
you had to tell brother, hey,
yeah, no,
it ain't gonna work.
it's not working out. Sorry. It was a, it was an interesting concept, but yeah, no. So I was never too huge into like music or art or
Yeah.
any of that. I was definitely more of like a physical
Mhm.
type person. And in school I was always a fan of like math and science, never a fan of
Yeah.
the like English classes, art classes. That's always been my type of personality.
Yeah. Incredible, man. Well, we're closing in on an hour here. I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to close things up. I always ask this question, and it could be about whatever. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Rocket League, Chief Beef, life in general. But I want to open the floor. If there's anything that has been on your mind that you would like to share, the floor is yours.
Yeah. And it's tough to be put on the spot with this sort of thing, but I would say it's something that I've been learning more and more recently as I've been doing things more on my own and more, getting into more complicated sort of things as you grow as a content creator.
Yeah.
There, and I touched on it before, there's a lot of things in life that you can't 100% control. And focusing on that is a very easy way to overwhelm yourself. Are you one of the biggest things you can learn is just doing what you can do and trying to like mitigate or work around things that you can't control, but there's always going to be stuff that is not within your 100% control, and you can't let that dictate or ruin things that you can control, right?
I love it, man. Incredible stuff. Thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us today. But that's going to be it for this episode. We will catch you next time on Outside the Grind.
Yeah, thanks
Peace.
for having me, Hootie.
Of course.